So today's lesson is about histograms. And histograms are a type of bar graphs with a few differences. For example, the bars touch. On a histogram, all of the bars touch each other. The intervals are equal. So on the bottom, instead of it just representing one characteristic, it's going to be an interval. You always want to have 5 to 7 bars on your histogram. That's ideal. And you want to use histograms with large amounts of data. So you use large amounts of data. And here's an example of what a histogram looks like. And the reason there's intervals and the bars touch is because this one represents 0 to 5. Anything from 0 before 5. And then if it's between 5 and 10, then it goes into this bar. So they touch because there's no space in between because it's continuous. Anything, this would be 0 to right up until 5, and this would be 5 right up until 10, and this would be 10 right up until 15. So the bars touch because it's a continuous amount of data. All right, create a histogram. So I'm going to show you how to create a histogram. We talked about frequency tables. So these are weekly wages. This is the money you earn a week, and then the frequency, how many times that money is earned. And we're going to put it in a histogram. I've already created it, so pause it, copy it down.
Would any member of the Wizards team please call extension 100? Would any members of Wizards team please call extension 100?
So the Wizards are a new team this year, and it's the 7th grade super team. So if you don't understand what the super team is, you can ask me, and I'll tell you. I've already come up with the intervals, and they are intervals of 10, from 100 to 109. You may think it's 9, but really it's 10 numbers. 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109. So it's 10 numbers. So 10, 10, 10, 10. Now there's only going to be 4 bars, so really I should have tried to make them different, but I wanted to show you an easy example. So I have the frequency. So from 100 to 110, from 100 to 109, which would be this bar, I have 5. So I would make my bar all the way right here. From 110 to 119, I have 4. The frequency is 4. So that means the next bar is connected, and it's right next to it. Whoops. Maybe yours looks a little better than mine. And then the next bar from 120 to 129 is only 1. And then the very last would be only 2 people get paid, one between 130 and 139. So it would be 2 people, and then it would look like that. This is an example of a histogram. The bars are touching, and it shows the interval from 100 to 110, or 100 to 109. So we can see there's 5 people that get paid in that section. We don't know what those individual wages are. We just know there are 5 in this category. And that is that's a very quick way to do a histogram. Let me show you another one. All right, so it says create a histogram, and I've given you data. And the data, I think I took this for the number of minutes that people are on Instagram. The number of minutes people are on Instagram. So you have the data, and as you see, intervals must be equal. Your intervals must be equal. So I've underlined the highest and lowest, 0 and 29. The easiest way to find your intervals is by finding the range, which you subtract the highest minus lowest, so 29 minus 0, and then you add 1 to make up for that one that you always count. Because you know how if you include 0 from 0 to 10, you think it's 10, but really it's 11 numbers because you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be 11. So you always have to add an extra. So really that gives us 30 numbers that we're dealing with, 30. And that's easy because you can make them intervals of 5. Because 30 divided by 6 is 5. So over here, I've already shown you my intervals. And the way I got my intervals was I took the range, I added 1, and then I divided by 6 because I wanted 6 groups. So I've made them 0 to 4 because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 5 numbers. 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15, 19. And now I just need to get my frequency. So this part I've left to do. I have 15, so I'm going to put a tally there. 20, 25, whoops, 25, 17, 29, 10, 2, 5, 10, 0, 18, 28, and 21. So I've just made tally marks. I didn't really do anything big and fancy. I just did tally marks, and now I have the frequency. Once you have your frequency, you can make a histogram. So in my first interval, okay, so this should be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I apologize if you had to go in, so change all of those, because I forgot you have to go to the next one. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And now I can make my interval. So this is 2, and then 1, 2, 3 in this one, 2, and 3. And this is my histogram based on my data. And again, if you got confused, go back and watch it. I've showed you how to find the interval, how to make your intervals and your frequency table, and then graph it. This actually looks pretty uniform. It looks like they're all, between 1 and 3. So it doesn't look like we have any skewing. It looks pretty uniform. All right. The other thing you need to do is describe the histogram. You have to describe. Remember in the video you learned about the 4 ways to describe: shape, center, spread, and outliers. So I'm going to give you 2 examples on how to describe your histogram. So the shape, this shape of a histogram, it's definitely not skewed left and skewed right, so you have to decide, is it symmetrical or is it uniform? And it looks pretty uniform. It looks like all of the bars are between here and here. So I would say the shape is uniform. Has a uniform shape. They're all very similar. The center. If I just had to eyeball it, I would say the center is going to be between here and here. So it looks like the center is going to be between 10 and 20. It's going to be one of these 2 bars. So the center is going to be around 15, between 10 and 20. Again, when you want to find the center, you're just going to eyeball it. You're going to go, okay, where about the center is that graph, is that data? So it's about 15, somewhere between there. The spread is like asking what the range is. How far does this data spread out? How spread out is this data? So to find the spread, you find the range. 30 minus 0 is 30. So the spread is 30 values long. 30 values long. And then outliers. According to this histogram, it doesn't look like we have any outliers, so we're going to put none. And later, I'm going to teach you a way to actually calculate an outlier to see if a data value really is an outlier. Because I know the question is, well, how far away does it have to be an outlier? But in this data, you can tell it's all clumped together, and there's not going to be an outlier because it's not skewed. If the data is skewed, then there's probably an outlier. All right, so another one, describe the histogram. Shape, center, spread, outliers. We have a histogram from 0 to 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't know the individual bars, but we know that it's from 0 to 100. And we can look at the shape. The shape starts out small and goes up. So this is a skewed graph. And now you have to remember, is it skewed right or is it skewed left? Most of the data is over here in the right, which means the extreme values are going to be in the left. So this would be skewed left because these are your extreme values. The center of the data. The center of the data is going to be a little more towards the right because we have to look at the middle. So I would say the center of the data is going to be between here. Now if this is 50, this might be 75, so I would say the center of the data is going to be around 75. And again, I just broke it up into quartiles, 0, 25, 50, 75, 100. So I'd say the center is going to be around, somewhere around 75. And sometimes you just have to use your logical reasoning skills. The spread, again, it spreads from 0 to 100, so it's 100 spread is the 100 range. And outliers. Are there any outliers? Well, definitely some lower outliers. So we would say there's definitely low outliers in this bunch. We don't necessarily know the exact outlier, but we can definitely tell that this is skewed left, then there's going to be outliers present in this data, and it's going to skew the data values. So center, shape, spread, and outliers. Those are the ways to describe data, and we're going to practice describing data in class.